Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel and welcome if you are new here. Hi, my name is Brooke and on my channel I like to talk about personal finances and do lifestyle vlogs. So if you like that kind of content, please make sure to subscribe. I would be so happy to have you over here. Today is another Finance Friday and this is the first of the month. It is now May and so we are going to be looking back at April's budget and then look forward to what we have in May. April was a very crazy month, as you all know. I filmed a video last week that went over how much we spent on our house and everything like that, going into the numbers, diving deep, all of that good stuff. So if you're interested in specifically how much we did for that, please make sure to check out that video. I will link it in the description below. But this video is going to go over our overall budget for April, and we are going to look at May and talk about what we are doing to get ready for our first house payment in June. And also, we have some fun things coming up in May. So, we have a lot of good things to talk about today. So, let's go ahead and dive right into the numbers. All right, so let's start where we always do with our income. Caveat before we get into that, I am married and my husband and I do combine our finances. All the numbers that you see here is all of our after tax take home pay. So it's already accounted for taxes, insurance, and contributions to our 401ks. So all of this is what actually hits our bank account. And we do get paid twice a month. We do not get paid bi-weekly, so no magic months, but that's okay. And so this month we brought in our normal income. We also got a little bit extra, and this is so exciting. So this is from my Ally Savings referral link. So if you ever use that, I get $50, and that's just super helpful. It doesn't cost you anything, but if you need a great high yield savings account, definitely recommend check it out. All of the links for all of my stuff is in my description boxes, so you can always go and check it out there. Again, this is just like not something I'm asking for, but it was really sweet that I saw that come in and I was like, oh my gosh, someone used it to go ahead and open their Ally account, and that was given and that got me a $50 bonus. So I'm really thankful for that. So thank you to whoever did that. For our interest, I never go ahead and put a number here, but this is just our high yield savings account interest, and we usually make about $100 a month. And this month we made quite a bit. We made $145.24. So all of that money goes to our current goals that we're working towards, and so all of this went into our emergency fund this time because we've had to borrow a little bit from our emergency fund to cover some of the deficits in our home fund because we had some unexpected things that were not just a part of our closing costs that I didn't accurately plan for. So we did have to use our emergency fund to pull some of that money out, but it all worked out in the end. And so in total, we had $12,078.22 to work with this month. So let's see where all that money went. Starting with our bills. So these are our fixed expenses, and these do not change. And I have a lot of these on auto pay, so I never miss a bill. So this is our mortgage. So our mortgage for our old house was $1,124.33. So that's going to be a big change coming up in the next couple of months. So we are going to be trying to get ready in May to start getting to that much higher mortgage. You know, it's just going to be a little bit of a change from what I'm used to with such low fixed expenses. Our Wi-Fi is through Google Fiber. It's $70 every month. Our water was $57.78. It was a little bit higher. For electric, we are on budget billing and we did pay $112. Now, when we go to close on our old house next month, we will be cutting off our electricity there, and we already started our electricity service here. However, because we are on budget billing, I think there will probably be like some residual that I need to pay to close out our old account at our old house. So I'm not sure how much we're going to be spending on electric in May. So I kind of definitely over budgeted for that, but this is how much we paid in April. For our phone bill, we use Visible, which uses the Verizon towers, but it's only $25 a month for unlimited for each of us. So that was $50. For security, this is our Simply Safe monitoring, and that's $32.99. And for pest control, we do $135, and that is just to cover any of the things in our home. It's a little high, but I don't like doing that myself. But in total, our total bills for April were $1,581.96. So came in only 36 cents under. All right, let's move on to our expenses. So these are our variable expenses. Some of them are ones that, we're going to always have to spend in every month. And some of them are just like our guilt-free category. So for groceries and household, we were way under here. And this is because of the whole move and everything like that. We didn't want to buy too many groceries before we moved into our new house. And so we didn't go to the grocery store but like 3 or 4 times. So that's why we're way under here, but we spent way over. As you can see, there's lots of red here. So I just because we spent under here does not mean that I'm at all excited or proud of how we did. But I know that a lot of this is like first time upfront costs that we're not going to have to pay on a monthly basis. It's just a lot of the things that went into moving homes. So for gas and transportation, everybody said it at this point, but gas prices have just like gone up so exponentially. We filled up my gas tank, and the last time we filled it up, it was over $50, and it used to be like $35. So in May, I really upped the gas budget. So for giving, we are Christians and we do believe in giving to our community. And so this includes giving to our church and to other organizations in the community. And I just blocked this out for privacy purposes. For therapy, my therapy is covered by my work, and my husband has an $18 copay, so not too bad. So for gyms and subs, this is for going to Planet Fitness. We also have Spotify, Netflix, all that good stuff. So our gyms and subs are about $90 a month. For our spending, we each get $175 to spend however we would like. And then for guilt-free spending, we were over here a little bit. And part of this was because we did go to like a pretty fancy restaurant last week. We had like a nice little date night where we went to a candlelight concert, and it was a Lord of the Rings themed candlelight concert because of I think it's like the 25th anniversary of the original trilogy coming out. And then afterwards we went out to this restaurant, and I've been using this app called DINK. I also have my DINK linked down below, but it's an app that if you go to certain restaurants and you pay through the app, you get like certain cash back. A lot of them are pretty good. You get like 20% cash back, but a lot of the restaurants I found on the app have been kind of expensive. And so our meal with drinks and we got an appetizer was like almost $100. So also when we had our friends come over and help us move, I went and bought donuts and coffee from Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast. And then I also paid for pizza. I'm okay with the amount that we spent here because we were only over by $5, which if you look at our other categories was not over in a lot like that much. So I'm not that mad about it. In our miscellaneous, this was just for some parking that we had to do. So really that wasn't too bad. And then for home, we budgeted $4,000 and we spent $6,000. And if you watch my video from last week, I talk a lot about all of the money that we spent here. And honestly, today is the last day of the month. I'm filming this a little bit early. And I have one more thing that I am going to be buying for our house. We need a coffee table in our living room, but I am going to be paying for that in cash. So I usually don't put any of our cash spending on here. So it's not going to really change this number at all. Some of the other stuff that we paid for were the U-Haul, and we also had to get some things fixed at our new house. We had to buy a brand new microwave, but my parents were so gracious and they're like, this is your housewarming gift, a new microwave. I'm like, thank you. I really didn't want to have to spend this money and I appreciate you. So we got the new microwave. We probably went to Lowe's like 15 times this month. It was crazy. So yeah, we definitely overspent here, but there were things we needed to address. We're overall this month a little bit over, but I always keep a buffer in our checking account of about $1,000. So we never go negative in our checking account. But we definitely spent a lot in the home category. And I think next month we won't spend as much in the home category, hopefully, but you never know. But that's why you have your emergency fund. So we did, like I said, we had to use our emergency fund a little bit this month. And I felt kind of bad about that. But again, that is what emergency funds are for, to use in emergencies. Car maintenance, I put this in here because when we got our new homeowners policy, I also went ahead and got a new car policy so that we could bundle it, because usually if you bundle, you get a pretty good discount for bundling home and auto together. And so for our new car policy, we did have to pay for the full year upfront to get the max discount. And so I paid some of that from our car maintenance sinking fund that you will see, and then I also cash flowed some of that. And we also got a refund back from our progressive insurance that we previously had, because we paid for that 6 months upfront, and that policy only just started like last month. So they gave us a pretty big refund. And so I just credited that back to this car maintenance account. So that's why we're only over by $18. So our next categories that I always go over are our savings. So in our emergency fund, I put aside the interest that we got this month into it because we did spend from it. In our health and wellness, we just basically, for all of our categories, we planned to put money in here, and I just didn't, so that we could cover that $1,000 overage in our expenses so that things could even out. Spend from our house fund sinking fund. This is our closing costs, and then some of those other things that we needed to pay for in terms of the repair. Car maintenance, this is where I said when we paid for the year up front, I went ahead and pulled some of the money from our car maintenance, and some of it I cash flowed. So $600 I pulled from our savings account. And then for our vacations, I pulled $619.84 because we got charged for one of our hotels that we're going to be staying at when we go to the Grand Canyon in August. We are splitting the cost of the hotel with my parents who are coming with us. We got a 2-bedroom suite. Taxes, we did have to go ahead and pay our North Carolina state taxes, which was, we were short by $271. So in John's spending, he went ahead and paid for his consultation for his tattoo. He's getting his tattoo in June. And so he had to pay a $100 deposit to hold his spot. And so then we will pay the rest of it once he has his tattoo done in June. He's very excited about that. It's his first ever tattoo, and I'm excited for him. So in total, we only sent $144 to savings because we spent $26,000 out of our savings account, which is crazy that we spent that much. But again, that is why you save diligently and then you spend out of it, because that's what these are for. But to see that number was crazy. I have not spent this much money in a single month before, but I'm happy. I'm really happy with our new house. And like I said, most of it was for closing costs. So this is not going to be something that we pay every month. All right, let's move on. Even though we did buy a house, we did go ahead and still put money in our investments. So we are on track to max out our Roth IRAs. I think I said last time that is only $7,000, but the limit went up to $7,500 for 2026. And so we put aside $625 in both of our Roth IRAs to go ahead and max those out for the year. We also have my husband's student loans, and we just set aside the minimums plus a little bit to cover interest. So let's go up to my cash flow summary. Now, my cash flow summary here is very scary because of those singing funds. So most of our spending was out of our singing funds. So we didn't actually overspend like our regular budget that, you know, coming in from our paychecks like that much. But the sinking funds was 70% of our spending, almost 71%. And then everything else based on that was like a lot smaller. Like even our expenses was 20.3%. Our bills was 4.2%. You can't even see long-term savings because we only saved $144, so it's not even 0.5%. Investments was 3.3%, and our debt was 1.1%. And so because we had so much that we put from our singing funds, I created another cash flow summary chart here that took out that spending from that so that we can kind of see like how it actually looked. And so we spent 70% on our expenses out of the money that I cash flowed from our monthly checks. And our long-term savings was about 1.3%, so it's still not that much. Our investments were 11%. Our debt was 3.8%, and then our bills was 14.3%. Let's go into May and see how our circumstances will be a little bit different. All right, so next month I am getting a very slight raise. We get our raises every year in May, and my company basically just gave me a 1.5% raise, which is not even enough to cover inflation, but it is what it is. It's fine. I would rather have a job than have a higher raise. So I was okay with that. So I decided not to up my contributions to my 401k like I usually do. I usually put 1% extra, but because we're having a lot higher fixed expenses, I decided that I will not be raising it this year, but that's okay because I have ran the numbers on our like coast-fi calculators, on our regular fi calculators, and we're going to be fine. Personal finance is personal, so run the numbers for you. I generally like to, when I get my raise, I generally like to up my percentage of my 401k. It is okay. We are still on track to retire with a pretty good nest egg. So that means we are bringing in $11,932. I don't ever plan for any extra money or any interest, things like that. For our bills, we are still paying our mortgage. However, there is a way that I'm kind of like changing the numbers a little bit. We did go ahead and we're under contract with our old house, which means we are going to sell it. They gave us a due diligence check like a couple weeks ago already. So I actually have the money to cover this over that. However, I want to go ahead and start setting aside money for our June mortgage payment. So even though this says mortgage here, technically, this is just going to be part of our mortgage. And then I'm going to put aside the extra money that we need to cover our mortgage for June. But I'm just covering that here. Everything else is pretty much the same. Our water bill, I did not know how to calculate that properly. We do have to pay for our water bill for the old house. We also have to pay an initiation fee for our new house. And I also put aside $80 to cover the month's bill for our new house. And also, we will have to pay a little bit of a prorated amount until the closing. The closing is at the end of May, so I will have to pay for some of the water bill for May, but it won't be the whole month. So it'll probably be like maybe like $15 of it. I don't know, because we're not like using the house. Obviously, we've already moved into our new house, so we're not really going to be over there like using laundry or like doing all the stuff we usually do. So I don't think it'll be that expensive. Electric, I put 312. We do have to pay an $8 initiation fee for our new house. Again, I think it's so dumb that you have to pay initiation fees for stuff that you already have had to pay for, but whatever. I also have to pay off, like I said, the prorated bill for our old house. So I just budgeted quite a bit for electric to cover that. I hope we don't have to spend all that, but you never know. For our phone bills, $50, security $32.99. Pest control, $135. And I just realized that I do need to pay for our gas bill because at our new house, our hot water heater runs on gas. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this to our electric category and just say electric gas. And then I'm going to add probably like, I mean, it's only running our hot water heater. I'm just going to budget $25 for our gas bill. I don't know if they charge an initiation fee. They didn't say when we set up the gas in our name that we had to pay an initiation fee. So I'm just budgeting $25 to cover heating up our hot water. For our expenses, even though we are going out of town for a little bit, we're only going out of town for like 4 days. So I kept our groceries and household budget the same of $650. Our gas and transportation, I brought that up. We are renting a car, so we will have to pay for gas. And do not just take and let them prepay for your gas because they will charge you way more than what it actually is. They also, if you bring your rental car back like empty, they will charge you $10 a gallon to fill it up, which is insanely stupid. So always like fill up the gas tank of the car yourself. Therapy, regular, gyms and subs, regular are spinning $175 each. Our guilt-free spinning I brought up to $590 because I don't know why I brought it up to $590 actually, but we did overspend as you saw. We've been budgeting $550, but I did spin over that, so I'm gonna be doing that a little bit more. For miscellaneous, I like to do a zero-based budget. So once I do all my other categories, I just basically see what's left over and I put that in our miscellaneous holding fund. Again, I usually only use this to pay for like parking and that kind of stuff, so I usually am fine here. For our home, this is where I am trying to get 1 month ahead for our June mortgage. And so I I'm going to be putting $3,000 towards our mortgage. Now, that is not just principal and interest. That's also, we have escrow on our new house as well. So that's paying for our property taxes and paying for our homeowner's insurance. So we set aside that into the escrow account, and then our mortgage company pays that on our behalf. And so all in, it's going to be about $3,000. And that also includes, I'm putting a little bit extra towards our principal because we did not have 20% equity down. So if we put a little bit extra towards the principal each month, that will get us closer to that 20% down, and then we can get rid of our PMI, which is also lumped into this number. And so I'm doing that. I also set aside $105 extra to just cover, like, if we need to buy anything for our house. I don't think we're going to be making too big of purchases for the house, but we shall see. For car maintenance, hopefully nothing. And then for travel, I set aside $1,500. We do need to pay for parking at the airport. We need to pay for our rental car, and we need to pay for, since we're going to be in downtown Seattle and we're staying at, I think we're staying at the Fairmont Hotel in Seattle, and we do have to pay for parking there. And I think it's like valet parking, which is like super expensive. So I'm just lumping all that into our travel category. This will also cover all of our food and everything like that. For our emergency fund, I'm not setting aside anything, and this is because hopefully with the proceeds of our house, I will be able to get our emergency fund up to a 6-month emergency fund. And I did the math based on our new fixed expenses, and that is looking like we need to add about $10,000 to our emergency fund. And so we'll set aside some of our house proceeds to go to that. Health and wellness, just setting aside $70. We have high deductible healthcare plans, so I go ahead and set aside all that money. We pay out of pocket, then we invest our HSA dollars so that it will grow tax-free, and we can pull that money out with qualified medical expenses in the future. For our house fund, I'm starting to set aside $350 a month, and this is to cover the maintenance costs of owning a home. Now, I did this for our other house as well, and if you own a house, you need to do this because you're going to have to pay for maintenance. Like, just in general, your house is like going to have problems, and if you don't do this, you are going to regret it and you're going to be sad. So I'm going to start this up. Like, a lot of our proceeds are going to go to be starting our house fund, but I just like to go ahead and set that habit of putting away the money so that we can just keep going and all that stuff. So I don't ever have to worry, because our house was built in 2000, and a lot of this stuff is original. Like, our carpet's original, HVAC is original. Like, all this stuff is going to probably go like the way of the dodo bird in a few years. And so we just need to set aside that money now, so when we get that bill or when we have to like pay it, we are not crying and being sad because we have no money left and being house poor. So don't do that. Do not be the people who like buy a house and then have no money left over in savings. Please don't. I don't recommend it. It's so stressful. So I'm already starting to save up for that, even though our house proceeds will be for the house fund. A lot of that I do want to put into doing some renovations. Like, I do want to take out the carpet in the dining room and in our living room, and I want to change the vinyl flooring in our kitchen, and that's going to be some money. I want to use a lot of the house proceeds for that. Gift savings, we do $175 a month. This is to cover Christmas, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the year, any of the extra money that we have left over in this account goes to paying for our Christmas gifts and all that good stuff. Car maintenance, $175. This is to cover our car insurance and also for any maintenance that we need to do on our cars, like getting oil changes, tires, all that good stuff. For vacations, I'm setting aside a lot. I know we're spending a lot on travel. However, I have a plan. And my plan is in 2028, which will be mine and my husband's 5-year wedding anniversary, is to finally do our Japan trip. And I want to do Japan in style. So I am already planning to save up $10,000 to do our Japan trip. I know that sounds like a crazy amount of money for vacation. However, flights to Japan are insane, and they're probably not going to get any cheaper. And it's so hard to get flights using credit card points to Japan because everybody wants to go to Japan. So it's never like they're just never available. So I'm just expecting that I'm going to have to pay out of pocket for my flights to Japan, and that's okay. Because I can use the points to like pay for hotels and stuff, which are much easier to get because it's just like there's tons of hotels, so it's always easier to like pay for those out of points. And so I'm just like, I know that there'll be at least $2,000 round trip for the two of us, so that's going to be already $4,000 just for flights. And so then we have $6,000 for that stuff. And I want to buy souvenirs. I want to eat the fancy sushi. I want to do all the good stuff because this is our 5-year wedding anniversary trip. So I'm just already planning for that. So $500 a month. Annual sub fees, I like to just go ahead and have one singular annual sub fee category. I know a lot of people like to break it down and have like $5 go into this account and all that stuff. I think it's too stressful for me. I don't like doing that. So what I did was I made a spreadsheet of all of our annual subs. I took how much it costs and then I divided that by 12, and that's how much I put into our account each month, so that whenever our credit card fees come out, whenever our ring insurance, our AAA, all that stuff comes out, I just pull from this annual sub fees, set it and forget it, and I am all Gucci there. Nothing to fun because we will be spending a lot of fun when we are on vacation. I don't usually put aside money for our taxes because hopefully we don't owe anything. I try to have a $0, like, I don't want to get a tax refund. I don't want to pay taxes. So this is just in case we have to pay taxes. For extra giving, we like to make sure that we can just give generously above and beyond for anything that people need. If there's, like a GoFundMe, or if there's anything like that, extra giving, $100 set aside for that. And then new tech, $100, because there are some new techie stuff that we want to buy for our new house. One of them is my husband really wants to get a sound bar for the living room because we did buy like a big LG OLED TV, and he wants like a nice sound bar for it. So I'm like, okay, we can buy a nice sound bar for it. Let's set aside the money into the new tech fund, and then when we are ready to buy it, we will just pull that out of the new tech fund. And then investments and debt, again, kind of boring here. Our usual $625 each for our Roth IRAs, and then for our debts, putting aside the minimum plus a little bit to cover daily accrued interest. So that is our May budget. We are spending quite a bit in our expenses, but again, it is because we're going on vacation and I want to have a fun time. I don't want to like get to the end of the vacation and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't buy this fun little cute little souvenir because it was way too much and I just didn't have it in the budget. So, that is part of why I have a budget. So I can spend in the categories that I want to spend in and not feel crazy because I know that my bills are covered at the end of the day. But oh my gosh, y'all, this has been such a great budget to go over. Thank you all so much for watching. If you got to this far, comment down below. Have you done your May budget? How does it look? Do you have any trips upcoming? It is trip season. I'm really excited. We have never been to Seattle before. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest, so it's going to be super fun time. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, y'all.